Adam Giardino is going to stay with us.
Yeah.
Ben Darnell, Rob Dibble.
We need
Kirk
to
Kaplan on ones and twos.
Getting down to the nitty gritty here. We got to fill out this bracket.
Rant Bracket.
That's right. The rant bracket continues. We're still trying to find submissions.
I bet Adam's got some rants that you've heard over your lifetime that you'd love to throw in there.
So you gave me the one earlier, Charlie Cole. Tell everybody about Charlie Cole and how you just that one popped into your mind.
Yeah, Charlie Cole, head coach, the late Charlie Cole, now head coach of Miami of Ohio. Men's basketball, they played an early season game down at University of Kentucky, and one of the writers for Kentucky, Miami of Ohio, had him on the ropes, let the game go, and that's basically one of the writers said to him, "How'd you let that one get away?"
And he's like, yeah, they have 4 NBA players. They're the best team in the country. I don't know. Yeah. He does it so much better. We're going to put that one in the mix. Charlie Cole, Miami of Ohio. Another one I think of you just because of you were you in school during the dime back, dime back?
Yep.
Remember
Absolutely.
that day?
Yeah.
You weren't the snot-nosed kid that asked that
I could
question.
see an Adam Giardino asking about his salary.
I could totally see you were doing some extra credit work for political science majoring. We're talking about salaries and stuff here in Connecticut and the budget.
Trying to balance the budget. Yeah, I was doing the hard work of balancing the budget for the state.
And you dropped that bomb on him, and he's like, whoa, not a dime back.
Not a dime back.
That's a number 1 seed. If you're just joining us for the first time during the Rant Bracket, ladies and gentlemen, we like to do a fun bracket through the month of March. Why not? We've done fictional athletes, fictional sports characters, best sports movie of all time, and this year we're doing best sports rant. Not a dime back from Jim Calhoun will be a number 1 seed, along with some Tommy Lasorda that we have in the mix. We got the Hal McRae, is put that in your pipe and smoke it.
You got to do Bobby Knight, but I know that video-wise and visually they're much more pleasing. But his rants are still fantastic.
Our friends from the Travelers sent me a couple of Bobby Knight clips to use yesterday because everybody's getting involved with this. Yes, Bobby Knight, Mike Leach, they will be involved. Mike Ditka as well. We'll try to get him on. But we also have the Calipari versus John Chaney fight. That's in the mix. Need more dogs, as Adam was in my office, says, you got to have Coach Bennett from Coastal Carolina. Got it. Mm-hmm. Go play intramurals, brother. That one's on the list. Old Scalabrini getting called out for not playing a single second in the NBA Finals, which he won. Dennis Green, they are
who we thought they
were. We let him off the hook. And we also have AI practice that was submitted by some listeners as well.
Bob Joyce joining us now.
Hey, Bob.
Just talk about your son.
I heard. Sorry, he did not do the game today. He's hosting, but he was courtside.
Okay.
He's hosting.
So at least he witnessed it.
Oh, he saw it, yes. He saw it.
So if you're just joining us, you didn't hear that conversation last time. Kentucky versus who? Florida. Kentucky versus Florida women's basketball team.
After a scuffle broke out during the game. I guess you can't call it a Donnybrook. You're going to have to come up with a female version. A Bonnybrook.
Bonnybrook.
There you go.
Bonnybrook Brawl. So we'll get to the bottom of that tomorrow. Getting the bottom of some more submissions for the rant bracket. Now, for you guys, what?
I'm just thinking with Bobby Knight, one of my favorite rants that Bobby Knight went on. Steve Rushin, the husband of Rebecca Lobo.
Yeah.
He's a Sports Illustrated writer, or formerly was. He had one of the best responses to Bobby Knight, who went on a rant at him, basically said, Steve, by the time we're adults, most of us have learned to become good writers by now. And he looked back at Bobby Knight, and this was before the days of YouTube and everything getting recorded. He looked back at Bobby Knight and said, yes, and most of us stopped throwing chairs and calling ourselves Bobby, too.
Oh, man. Wow. Guts.
With guts. I feel like in the age 2023, that would have gone over really well. Unfortunately, there's no video of it, just the written history of that exchange.
Guts, sir. And I've come to find out in a lot of these rants, they do have certain elements. We talked about this last time, too. I do think that the rant does not have to have loud yelling a part of it.
No.
I feel like it can be just your own personal conviction, and you're not going to budge from your stance, and you're going to just say it with authority. And I think that element of the rant is more important than being an angry psychopath.
Well, I think in Jim Calhoun's defense, too, he was bringing facts. And that's when
Check your facts.
Check your facts. And he shot back, and he was like, this is this, and this is that, and that's why I'm not giving a dime back. And, so I agree with you. So if you got your ducks in a row and you know your information that you're talking about, well, you don't need to scream. You don't need to justify your answer.
So these rants today are based on coaches and their rants against society. And we'll start off with a friend of the show. We had him on before the basketball season started. He is now the head coach of UMass men's basketball. At the time during this post-game press conference, he was the head coach of South Carolina men's basketball. And he's just simply talking about how to treat players that are on the court as fans, or more importantly, as parents. You got that, Kurt?
I'm the most animated coach that you've probably ever seen when my team's playing. I go watch my kids play. I don't say boo. I don't wave my arms. I don't try to coach my kids. With all due respect to most parents out there, I probably know more about basketball than most of them. Okay? But I sit in the stands and I don't say a word. There's two guys refereeing a fourth grade game on a Sunday morning. What can they possibly be making? $20 a game? I used to do that. I used to make $12 for 10 and under, 15 for 15 and under, and 17 or 18 bucks for high school age kids. Okay? So on a Sunday morning, instead of being in church, those guys are out there trying to make a couple bucks to pay their bills, feed their families. Do you think they really care what fourth grade team wins? Do you really think that they sat at home and said, I can't wait to officiate that game tomorrow because that one team, I can't wait to get that 10-year-old kid and embarrass him in front of people? Do you really think that's what they're doing? I don't try to tell my kid how they should play. You know what I tell my two boys when they come ask me, Dad, why are you asking me, man? I didn't run your practice. Go talk to your coach. But don't talk about your coach in front of me, man. Because if you are, then you're not playing basketball. You don't understand why you didn't play better? Go talk to your coach. I'm not your coach. I'm your dad. Somebody disrespects you, then I'm here. If you fail, good. Deal with it. I'm going to help you get up. But don't come talk to me about coaching. I do this for a living, man. I'm not going to criticize a guy that's trying to help you. And then the other part. So that's the officials. Do you think those coaches coaching fourth grade kids are making any money? So there's someone that's giving of their personal time on a Sunday for free to help other people's children, yet we're going to have the adults in the stands yelling obscenities at the officials, criticizing every decision the coach makes, yelling at the kids like the kids, they're 10 years old, man. Like if they were LeBron James and Dwayne Wade playing in the NBA Finals, like they know how to handle their coach over here and their parent over here yelling at them. Then we wonder why kids get confused, man, why kids rebel, why kids don't know how to listen. How can you listen when you got so many voices in your head at the same time? You know what life teaches you? Shut things off. And that's the part that's frustrating to me. It's if someone wants to be so animated when there's a basketball game going on, then go coach the team. Go run practices. Show up every day at 6 o'clock at night and run an hour and a half practice. And then you got your team to coach. Or be an assistant coach. Sit on the bench. Yell all you want. I don't care if people on the bench yell at my kids. I got two boys. If they don't deal with my children, my children won't be on their team. My child acts up or doesn't do things the way that they're expected to do things by them, not me. And they let it happen, I'm taking my son off the team. I want my son to be challenged. Both of my boys. I want them to grow up. I want them to understand what life's about. But that's the part that's sad, man.
I felt like I was listening to Dibbs talk about his
preach, preach, Frank.
That one had to hit home with you, man. I mean, you deal with the baseball families every single weekend.
Coaching kids 8 to 18 and hear what's spewed at the umpires, and I honestly do pay the umpires. I feel bad for them. I mean, we actually had a coach kicked out of the 9U league in Connecticut this year. Wouldn't leave the field. And it was brutal because his wife, and they may even own him, I'm not going to bring up their names in their program, but the wife was giving it to the umpire. I just happen to be, because I try to watch as many games as I can when I'm not coaching. I'm watching the other kids play. happened to be in the bird's nest behind home plate watching, and with my wife and with some older people too. I was very offended, because it's just like, it's not necessary. Those umpires are not making enough money to hear what they're hearing. And then there's 9-year-old kids that are witnessing the adults act like 9-year-olds. And that's the worst part about the whole thing.
How much do you get at Bob Joyce? You're an umpire in the summer. You still get yelled at by the parents?
Yeah, probably. I just kind of ignore it.
No, you wear earplugs.
Do my job. Yeah, how'd you know?
You're Bobby Bonilla back there.
Great way to do it.
Noise-canceling headphones.
Can't wipe the smile off my face.
All right, this one you guys probably remember. This one's about the fans. Now, the parents are one thing, but the fans, especially, this one might hit home for some of you UConn basketball fans, or maybe even the UConn women's basketball fans. This is Nick Saban talking about how his kids really do care, and that the fans, most of the time, are really missing it.
Rat poison is rat poison, and the media is always going to create it. But the reality of the world is not what you read on the internet. It's not what somebody thinks. It's not what somebody's opinion is. It's not what the line is on the game. And it's certainly, the biggest one is every time a team loses 2 games, everybody says that team's like done. And it's really just the opposite. Like Texas A&M lost 2 games before we played. I said it's a dangerous team. Because these guys have pride in performance. They want to have a good team. They've had 2 disappointing losses. That makes them dangerous. They're humiliated by what's happened the last 2 games. Same thing when we played LSU. Everybody says, oh, they lost 2 games in a row. They're not any good anymore. We're just going to blow them out. It's just the opposite. It's just the opposite of that. They're competitors. They have moms and dads. They have pride in performance. They have things that they want to accomplish and they want to do, and they want to be good. They don't just throw in the towel. They work harder to try to get better, and everybody wants to beat us. So we're going to get everybody's best game, and I don't know why people can't understand that. We're just, it's, you could say it's not fair to our players that they get everybody's best game, but they do, and they have to be able to compete through that and play over that, and. It's I don't know. I mean, when I came here, everybody was happy to win a game. Now we're not happy to win a game anymore. We're not happy to win a game at all. We think we should win games by whatever. And I don't think that's fair to the players either. Because our players work their butt off to be the best that they can be. And to get criticized for what they work hard for to do so that you can be entertained. So that you can enjoy and have pride and passion for what they accomplish and what they do. And they're not perfect. They're just college students. They go to school every day. They got to study. They have to run extra after practice when they miss study hall. I mean, come on, give me a break. This is not professional football. These guys aren't getting paid to play here. They're representing you all. You should be proud and happy to support them and appreciate what they do and have some gratitude. And you know what else? Nobody wants to win worse than they do. Yep. Not me, not you. I don't care what kind of fan you are. Nobody wants to win more than the players that play. Nobody.
That was magnificently said.
And nobody feels worse than they do when they lose.
Yep.
Nobody. So for all you self-absorbed folks out there that can't look past your own self, to appreciate what other people are doing.
Preach, Nick. Now, that was before NIL, by the way.
Right, slightly. Just barely. But, in the defense, they're not paying, the university is not paying these players to actually
They're paying
play.
me $12 million a year to coach them, though.
I got to be honest, I'm a little embarrassed that I would not have been able to pick Nick Saban's voice out of a lineup. You could have put that next
Really?
to I don't think I had no idea that's what his eyes closed. I wouldn't have been able to figure that out.
Man, I can get a Nick Saban yelling at any drop of a hat, any lineup. Kurt, you can too? Yeah.
Get a lot of tape room out of Bristol.
Yeah, I interviewed him a few times. So.
I feel like with that clip, though, that everyone he's talking about was the people that were cheering in the crowd.
Absolutely. The people that were sitting right in front of him, I think he was talking to them.
Oh, man. Dude, this is UConn women's basketball. I mean, Bob, how many people you got to talk off the ledge when we lose to a Big East team? Like the last couple of losses, the St. John's loss. Like, what kind of stuff do you hear that is just crazy absurd?
I try like heck not to even look at it because I know how nuts our fans are. But, yeah, I mean, it's like life or death with these people. And they're so, they're just so used to a certain level, and they're not getting it this year. And I thought Gino's rant Monday night was pretty darn good. So he finally got it was a reality check for the fans.
So he was talking also to the players being selfish, and that has been from going over Gino rants and trying to find the Gino rant. That is the common theme that really ticks him off. I got a suggestion. I think it was Bob who called in, not you, Bob, not the Bobs that we know. Bob listener that called in and said, check out the Gino versus Muffet rant. And like that, I understand what he's saying there, but it wasn't really heated or venomous from Gino. He's just like, it is what it is. People are going to hate us because we win. People start winning, they're going to have a little bit more room to talk. But I really like the body language rant that he has, and this I think
Final Four 2016.
Thank you. I knew this was recent because I knew this is a Breanna Stewart year, right? This is her final year, her last year. This is body language. That's what I'll entitle this rant from Gino Auriemma.
Recruiting enthusiastic kids is harder than it's ever been because every kid watches TV and they watch the NBA, or they watch Major League Baseball, or they watch the NFL, whatever sport they watch, WNBA, it doesn't matter. And what they see is people just being really cool. So they think that's how they're going to act. And they haven't even figured out which foot to use as a pivot foot, and they're going to act like they're really good players. You see it all the time. You see it at every AAU tournament, you see it every high school game. So recruiting kids that are like really upbeat and loving life and love the game and have this tremendous appreciation for when their teammates do something well, that's hard. That's hard. It's really hard. So on our team, me, my coaching staff, we put a huge premium on body language. And if your body language is bad, you will never get in the game. Ever. I don't care how good you are. If somebody says, well, you just benched Stewie for, 35 minutes in the Memphis game a couple years ago. Yeah, I did. Oh, but that was to motivate her for the South Carolina game the following Monday. No, it wasn't. Stewie was acting like a 12-year-old. So I put her on the bench and said, sit there. It doesn't matter on our team. Now, the other coaches might say, well, you can do that because you got 3 other All-Americans. I get that. I understand that. But I'd rather lose than watch kids play the way some kids play. I'd rather lose. And they're allowed to get away with just whatever. And they're always thinking about themselves. Me, 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 me. I didn't score, so why should I be happy? I'm not getting enough minutes. Why should I be happy? That's the world that we live in today, unfortunately. And kids check the scoreboard sometimes because they're going to get yelled at by their parents if they don't score enough points. Don't get me started. So when I look at my team, they know this. When I watch game film, I'm checking what's going on the bench. And if somebody's asleep over there, somebody doesn't care, somebody's not engaged in the game, they will never get in the game. Ever. And they know that. They know I'm not kidding.
I love that. I love Coach.
I use that when I talk to my kids. The body language, mound presence, what you're doing, all that stuff, because it's true. It's true. And that's how you're being recruited. I love when he talks about, I'm watching someone that just scored 30, 40 points and they get taken out of the game and their team's up 30 points and how they act. I mean, it's not about just the wins and the losses. Those are the kind of kids that are the champions. That's the kind of pedigree that a guy like Gino Auriemma wants on his team. Not the kid that can just score the 30 or 40 points and be selfish and self-centered and just ignore the rest of the team because they're not as good. No, they're the ones trying to lift up the rest of the team because they know I'm the best out there, but I can make these kids better.
Was that after a win, Bob? Did they win that game?
I think that was
they had to have won that game.
In between the semis and the championship game, if I remember right. At the podium pre-championship game, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, what's the similarity between the last night and then that moment?
Well, a lot of that was how you act on the bench. This particular rant is actually paying attention in practice, listening to what the coaches tell you, and you don't do something completely different. And yeah, so and it's not so. I mean, when we talk about selfishness, it's not about passing the basketball. It's about doing the right things. Why you came here, why you were recruited to come here. And right now, that's a problem, and it may bite them in the butt this weekend. This weekend's a big weekend in the Big East, and it's not just for UConn.
Yeah.
I mean, if they get to the semifinals, there are two teams fighting tooth and nail to get to the NCAA tournament, Marquette and St. John's. So they're going to be playing like their life depended on it. And the Huskies better be ready for it. I think they'll win Saturday, but Sunday, whole other animal.
And Nova's jealous that Marquette and St. John's got that win, but they don't got theirs.
That's right.
All right, we got Mike Crispino. He wants to join the conversation. We got a men's game, final one at the XL. Then they got Villanova on the weekend. It's DePaul tonight. Men's basketball. Mike Crispino next on the Rob Dibble Show. Joined by a bunch of our friends, Adam and Bob. And along with Ben and Kurt, I'm Rob. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Mike Crispino next.